The one gesture that will make an avoidant miss you faster than any other strategy is to walk away from them with complete inner peace and genuine gratitude for the time you shared together. This isn't about playing hard to get, manipulating their emotions, or using silence as a weapon. This is about authentically reaching a place where you can thank them for what they taught you, wish them well in their journey, and remove yourself from their life with dignity and grace. This gesture is devastatingly effective because it breaks every expectation the avoidant has about how people respond to their emotional unavailability. They expect anger, hurt, pursuit, or attempts to change their mind. They're prepared for emotional reactions that confirm their belief that relationships are burdensome and people are needy. But genuine peace and gratitude completely disrupts their psychological framework. When you walk away with peace, you're demonstrating something the avoidant has never experienced. Someone who can love them deeply, recognize their limitations, and still choose to prioritize their own well-being without bitterness or resentment. You're showing them what emotional maturity looks like, what secure attachment feels like, and what it means to love someone enough to let them go when the relationship isn't serving both people. The gratitude component is crucial because it reframes the entire relationship experience. Instead of positioning them as the person who hurt you or failed to meet your needs, you're acknowledging them as someone who contributed to your growth, taught you valuable lessons about yourself, and helped you clarify what you want in future relationships. This perspective shift is both healing for you and profoundly impactful for them. This combination of peace and gratitude creates a psychological earthquake in the avoidant's mind because it forces them to confront what they're losing. You're not leaving as a wounded victim of their emotional unavailability. You're leaving as someone who has grown stronger, wiser, and more self-aware through the experience of loving them. You're taking the best parts of what you shared together and using them as foundation for an even better future. Why peace threatens the avoidant more than any emotional reaction. The avoidant's entire defensive system is built around managing other people's emotional reactions to their behavior. They've learned to navigate anger, hurt, disappointment, and even love, but genuine peace is something they have no framework for understanding or responding to. When someone can experience their withdrawal without becoming reactive, it suggests a level of emotional security the avoidant has never encountered. Your peace demonstrates that you don't need them to be different for you to be okay. You're not trying to change them, fix them, or convince them to love you better. You've simply recognized that what they're offering doesn't align with what you need, and you're making a mature decision to seek compatibility elsewhere. This response is revolutionary for the avoidant because it removes them from the center of your emotional universe while simultaneously honoring their right to be exactly who they are. Peace also suggests that you've found something they've been searching for their entire life: the ability to love without attachment, to care without possession, to connect without losing yourself in the process. The avoidant realizes you've achieved the emotional independence they've been fighting for, but you've done it while maintaining your capacity for love rather than shutting down emotionally. This peaceful departure forces the avoidant to confront their own emotional chaos. While you've found serenity in accepting what is, rather than fighting for what could be, they remain trapped in patterns of fear, avoidance, and internal conflict. Your peace becomes a mirror that reflects their own emotional turmoil and lack of inner harmony. The avoidant begins to understand that your peace isn't evidence of not caring. It's evidence of caring so deeply that you're willing to do what's best for both of you, even when it's difficult. This kind of love that prioritizes well-being over possession, is something they've never experienced before, and its rarity makes it incredibly valuable. How gratitude transforms their entire narrative about the relationship. When you express genuine gratitude for your time together, you completely rewrite the story the avoidant has been telling themselves about the relationship's failure. They typically frame relationship endings as evidence that they were right to maintain distance, that emotional connection inevitably leads to pain, that they're better off alone because relationships are too complicated and demanding. But your gratitude forces them to consider an entirely different narrative. Instead of seeing the relationship as a failure that proves their point about love being dangerous, they must consider the possibility that it was a meaningful experience that contributed positively to both of your lives, even though it didn't result in permanent partnership. This gratitude helps them recognize that love doesn't have to end in bitterness, resentment, or regret. You're showing them that it's possible to love someone fully, have that love not work out in the traditional sense, and still feel grateful for the experience. This perspective is revolutionary for avoidants who have typically experienced relationships as either suffocating or abandoning. Your gratitude also highlights the positive aspects of their character and the valuable contributions they made to your life. Instead of focusing on their emotional limitations or the ways they failed to meet your needs, you're acknowledging their strengths, the moments of genuine connection you shared, and the ways they helped you grow as a person. This positive framing is deeply healing for the avoidant because they're used to people focusing on their shortcomings, their emotional unavailability, and their relationship failures. Your gratitude shows them that they're capable of creating positive impact in someone's life, that their love, even limited as it was, had genuine value and meaning. The avoidant realizes that you're not carrying resentment about their inability to love you the way you wanted to be loved. Instead, you're carrying appreciation for the love they were able to give, and the lessons you learned from experiencing their particular way of being in relationship. This absence of blame or bitterness is both confusing and attractive to them. Why this gesture creates immediate and lasting missing. The combination of peace and gratitude creates immediate missing because it presents the avoidant with the cleanest, most complete ending they've ever experienced. There are no loose ends to manage, no emotional mess to clean up, no angry texts to ignore or hurt feelings to navigate. You've given them the gift of a relationship conclusion that feels mature, respectful, and final. This clean ending is both what the avoidant thought they wanted and what they discover they can't handle. They've spent their life creating messy endings through withdrawal and emotional unavailability, always leaving behind hurt feelings and unresolved emotions. Your peaceful, grateful departure gives them exactly what they thought they needed: freedom without drama, and forces them to confront how empty that freedom actually feels. The missing begins immediately because there's nothing for them to defend against or respond to. Your peace doesn't require their emotional management. Your gratitude doesn't need their reciprocation. Your departure doesn't demand their explanation. They're left with nothing to do except sit with the absence of someone who loved them well and chose to prioritize their own well-being when that love wasn't adequately returned. This type of missing is different from the anxiety or guilt they might feel after messier endings. It's clean longing for someone who enhanced their life, who brought out their best qualities, who loved them without trying to control or change them. They miss not just your presence, but the version of themselves that felt safe enough to be authentic and vulnerable with you. The lasting quality of this missing comes from the fact that they can't resolve it through their usual defensive strategies. They can't minimize the relationship's importance because you've acknowledged its value. They can't blame you for being too demanding because you've expressed gratitude for what they were able to give. They can't convince themselves they're better off without you because you've demonstrated the kind of emotional maturity they secretly admire. How this gesture reveals what they actually lost. Your peaceful, grateful departure forces the avoidant to recognize what they actually lost, rather than focusing on what they avoided. Instead of feeling relief about escaping another demanding relationship, they must confront the reality that they lost someone who loved them skillfully, understood their limitations, and still chose to honor their autonomy by walking away when the fit wasn't right. This recognition is particularly powerful because it shows them a different model of love than they've previously experienced. You've demonstrated that it's possible to love someone deeply without possessing them, to want the best for someone even when that doesn't include you, to end a relationship with grace rather than drama. This kind of love feels safe to the avoidant because it doesn't threaten their autonomy or try to control their choices. They begin to understand that you weren't asking them to be someone different. You were simply recognizing that who they are and what you need aren't compatible, and making a mature decision based on that recognition. This realization is both relieving and devastating, because it removes their ability to blame the relationship's end on your excessive needs or unrealistic expectations. The avoidant realizes they lost someone who could have been a safe person to love and be loved by. Someone who understood the difference between accepting their limitations and enabling their dysfunction. You've shown them what secure love looks like. Love that doesn't need to change its object. Love that can let go when holding on isn't healthy. Love that prioritizes genuine well-being over romantic fantasy. Why this gesture often brings them back transformed. When an avoidant experiences this kind of peaceful, grateful departure, it often catalyzes genuine self-reflection and growth that wouldn't have occurred through any other means. Your demonstration of emotional maturity becomes a mirror that reflects their own emotional immaturity, motivating them to develop the skills and awareness necessary for healthier relationships. The missing that results from your departure isn't just missing your presence, it's missing the opportunity to love someone who made love feel safe. They realized they had access to something rare and precious, and their own fear and defensive patterns prevented them from fully appreciating and reciprocating what was offered. This realization often motivates the avoidant to do the internal work necessary to become capable of the kind of relationship you demonstrated was possible. They may seek therapy, read about attachment styles, practice vulnerability with trusted friends, or engage in other forms of personal growth that address their core wounds and defensive patterns. If they do return, they often come back with genuine appreciation for what they lost and real commitment to showing up differently. Your peaceful departure taught them that you won't accept poor treatment indefinitely, that you value yourself enough to leave when a relationship isn't serving you, and that you're capable of finding the kind of love elsewhere that they weren't able to provide. However, it's important to understand that your gesture should be genuine rather than strategic. If you walk away with peace and gratitude as a manipulation tactic to make them miss you, it will lack the authenticity that makes this approach so powerful. The goal isn't to get them back. It's to honor yourself, the relationship, and them by ending things with grace and dignity when continuation isn't healthy for either of you.